Mr. Tressel, you there? Let's see. Mr. Tressel, you there?
I am here.
I think you're muted right now.
Ma'am? Not according to my,
All right, hold on.
I think I'm okay.
All right, let's see. We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
I have it up.
Good.
Give me 1 second. See what's going on. Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. All right. We can't hear you. So we're trying to figure out.
Can you hear me now?
Still
Can you
can't.
hear me?
All right, hold on 1 second. I don't think it's his. Yeah. Told you guys. All right. All right, I apologize. I'm going to get our technology person. Give me 2 minutes and
Okay.
we'll get it. I got the screen mirroring. I have the volume up on both. What? I'm not saying to do that. We're trying. We're going to give another minute or two. I'm really sorry about this.
Problem?
All right. We're going to see if we can hear you now.
Okay, can you hear me?
Still can't. All right. So, nothing. Yeah. Okay. I could hear. Sorry, guys.
Technology, ain't it a wonder? They say that.
Sorry. He won 5 national championships. Yeah.
I can see him. Yeah,
There we go. All right.
I mean, it's through the laptop.
can you hear me?
Can you guys
Yeah.
hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I'm really sorry about that.
That's okay.
I'm terrible at technology, as you can see. All right. So I'm Sam Vincent. Thank you for agreeing to do this. And we have this class at Parkersburg High called Sports and American Culture, where we kind of look at the history of different sports and kind of their impact on society and history and that kind of stuff. So last year we started having guest speakers, and that's why I reached out, hoping that you might be willing to talk.
Happy to.
Okay,
Looking forward to it.
awesome. Again, sorry about the technology here at the beginning. So when we did these in the past, if you're willing, the people who would talk would maybe for 5 or 10 minutes kind of give a synopsis or summary of their career, and then we kind of would open it up. We've got about 40 or 50 students that you can't see, but once they start asking questions, I'll move the computer for them to be able to ask you.
Okay, sounds good. Well, my name is Jim Tressel. I'm the president here at Youngstown State University, and this is my 47th year in higher education. So my career began like all of yours did at home, and fortunate to have a wonderful family. My father was a college football coach at Baldwin Wallace College up here in Ohio, and my mom was a great community servant, and I had two older brothers who went on and became educators and coaches. And so I kind of decided my junior year of high school that I thought I wanted to be an educator. And so when I went on to college, I majored in math education, and then went on to graduate school at the University of Akron, where I was a graduate teacher and coach. And after my first year and getting my master's degree completed, the head coach's name was Jim Dennison at the University of Akron, and he invited me to join the full-time staff. And I really had always wanted to teach and coach in high school, but since he made that offer, I thought I would give it a try. And it ended up being 37 years worth of coaching in college. I spent 4 years at the University of Akron, and then I went 2 years as an assistant coach to Miami of Ohio. Then I spent 2 years as an assistant coach at Syracuse University. And then I spent 3 years as an assistant coach at Ohio State University. All along, I kind of felt that I wanted to see if I could be a head coach. And so after my third year at Ohio State, I was very fortunate to be hired here at Youngstown State University as the head coach. And I spent 15 years here as the head coach. I also spent the last 6 or 7 years as the athletic director as well. Then I moved on to Ohio State University, where I had the great opportunity to spend 10 years there as the head football coach. Then I moved on to the University of Akron as a vice president. And I broadened my scope, and instead of just working in one part of a university, I was working with the whole piece of the institution, and spent 2 years there as a vice president at the University of Akron, and then came here to Youngstown State, kind of back home, as the president. And this is my 8th year. And so it's been a lot of fun, and sport has certainly served my career. So the title of your course, I've lived in the culture of American sports virtually my whole life.
So just to kind of get things going, last week in our class, we kind of looked a little bit up about your career and different things. And then the kids wrote 2 or 3 questions for you. And one that happened over and over that students asked was, what was the biggest transition going from coaching at Youngstown State to then coaching at Ohio State?
From a coaching standpoint, there really wasn't a huge transition. We had very good football players at Youngstown State, and we had fierce competition. We had high expectations because we've been fortunate to play for 6 national championships while we were at Youngstown State, and those were highly competitive, and we were fortunate enough to win 4 of them. And then, so when we went to Ohio State, it really wasn't a big difference in coaching, except for maybe the guys were a little bit bigger and faster than our guys were at Youngstown State, but it was still the same size field, still 11 guys on the team. Our competitors, were outstanding, as they were when we competed at Youngstown State. I think the biggest difference might have been with the size of the recruiting area that we had. At Youngstown State, we had a thing we called the State of Youngstown, which it was about a 100-mile radius of Youngstown, Ohio. It included Pennsylvania, West Virginia, a little bit up into upstate New York, and then, of course, the top northeast corner of Ohio. And then we did a little dabbling of recruiting in Florida. But then, of course, when you get to Ohio State, you can recruit all over the country. Everyone knows your name, and you have an opportunity to go wherever. In fact, I remember being in Parkersburg High one time, recruiting a young man, and so that was probably one difference. Second difference might have been we always wanted to be very involved with the community here at Youngstown State and be a big part of things other than football. We wanted them to come to our games and be YSU Penguin fans. So we thought we better go into the community and be a part of what was happening in the community. Well, the community when you're at Ohio State is much larger. It's the whole state of Ohio. It's the whole Mideast, Midwest region. We had alumni groups all over the country, really all over the world. And so I needed to travel a lot more at Ohio State, but really fundamentally, it really wasn't much difference.
Kind of going with that question, another question that came up, did you feel that the stress level was harder at Ohio State compared to Youngstown State, just being on a bigger stage, or kind of the same?
You know, I think your stress level is something you decide on. You decide your expectations. I was always interested in being the best. You know, we wanted to be the best team in what was then Division I AA football. They now call it FCS here at Youngstown State. We wanted to be the best team in the country. We didn't apologize for that. So we put that stress on ourselves, and we weren't pleased if we didn't accomplish it. Well, at Ohio State immediately, that's the expectation. The interest is in being the best team in the Big Ten, best team in America. And so, you know, it really wasn't much difference. You know, people talk a lot about, well, you know, you played for the national championship at Youngstown State in front of 25,000 people or whatever, national television. And then all of a sudden you're playing in front of 106,000. Was it a lot more stress? And my response always is, my back was to the stands. I was always looking out at the field, and the field was the same size and had the same problems and the same focus, you know, necessary. So I didn't really know the difference between when I played in college and there were 5,000 people, or I coached at Youngstown State with 25,000, or you know, the big spotlight of Ohio State. I didn't find that much different of a stress level.
Anybody got a question here to start off? Somebody step up. All right. Okay, I'm going to take you here to William. He's going to ask you a question.
Okay.
You're going to meet a lot of my students here.
Good.
Yeah. All right. Well,
Hey, I'm wondering what was your best year for college football?
Oh boy. You know what's interesting about that is, you know, the obvious answer to the question to some would be that our best year was, you know, one of those 5 times we won the national championship. But, you know, that's not always the case. Sometimes you have a team that really exceeded their potential and might not have been the best in the nation, but might have been the best they were. And so every one of our years had different ups and downs. There were only, I guess, 2 of the years that I coached that we won every game. Or actually, one of the years we tied a game. So back when ties were legal. But 1994, we were 14-0-1 and national champions. And then in 2002 at Ohio State, we were 14-0. So those were the only 2 years that we didn't have a loss. But that didn't mean that they were any more special than maybe some of those years where maybe we had some adversity and we overcame it. You know, I think about 2004 at Ohio State. We started out 3-0. We were very young. We graduated a lot of really good guys off of the 2002 national champions and off of the 2003 team, which was within 1 game of the national championship. So we were very young, and we started off 3-0, and we probably weren't good enough to be 3-0, but you know, somehow we found a way. Then we lost 3 in a row. And that was uncharacteristic of what we'd been, and that was a real adverse moment. But then we ended up winning, I think, 5 of our last 6 games. maybe 6 of our last 7, I forget. And that was as fulfilling a year as any year we won the national championship, because we had some hardships. We overcame them. We became very good at the end of the year, and we were able to beat our rival. We were able to win our bowl game, and so that one felt as good at the end of the year as the ones where you won every game. So I could give you another story. It's William, right?
Yeah.
William. Okay, I got one other one that's kind of surprising. My first year here at Youngstown State, through 10 games, we were 1-9. And so we obviously didn't get off to a great start. But we played our rival in game 11, and the University of Akron and Youngstown State, big rivalry. And they were 8-2. We were 1-9. We ended up winning that game, and it really catapulted us into the future. And that's how I always look to that one as being a breakthrough win that helped set us up for a lot of great things in the future. And so that was as satisfying, even though we only won 2 games. The way it happened, the willingness of our team to stick together, to keep getting better, to keep fighting, to handle the ups and downs, and end on the right note was as satisfying as anything. So that's what's fun about coaching, is every year is different. Every year, it's not the same group of people. Sometimes, you have guys graduate and so forth. So you bring in, 25, 30 new people. And so every year is different, and every year has its own thing that you remember about the year. And so fortunately, I don't ever sit around thinking I enjoyed one year more than the other.
All right, anybody got another question wanted to ask? I know people do. All right, here we go.
Hello.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
What's your name?
My name is David Henderson. I was going to ask, what was your favorite part about winning a national championship?
Oh, you know what? That's an easy question. Whether it was our first national championship at Youngstown State, or the first one at Ohio State, the one in 2002, what was the coolest part of it was to see how happy it made our players and our coaches, of course, but how happy it made our university, the joy that our community had, the joy that our entire state had. Just to feel how good they felt was the best part of it. After we won our first championship in 1991, we flew back from the game. We'd played the game down in Georgia, and we'd played against Marshall, actually, which is
It's my fault. I don't know if you can hear me. Tell them what. You'll miss it in a second.
Thank you for being here. It's been great.
okay. I think they're back.
Yeah, they're back.
You
Okay,
guys
great.
back? Okay.
Sorry about that.
I was stuck here with Michael Erb.
Sorry. So you were just talking about how it made the fans and the other players feel. So we heard
Right.
a lot of it. But
I thought I did something.
Yep, that truly was the greatest feeling about winning a championship, was how it meant so much to others, how it made others feel, and that's the fun of it.
all right, somebody have another question? Okay, we're gonna keep asking questions as long as our technology works.
Right.
We're having a rough day today.
Okay. We'll adjust.
What was it like?
What's your name?
My name's Mason.
Mason. Okay.
What was it like being a consultant for the Indianapolis Colts?
That was was a fun experience. You know, I had been around the NFL because we had so many players that went to the NFL, and I knew a lot of the NFL coaches. They used to come in and look at our players and all that. And a lot of people always said, "Hey, have you ever considered working in the NFL?" And I really never had. But then I got a call from Jim Caldwell, who at the time was the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. And that particular year was the year that Peyton Manning was injured and they weren't going to have him. And he said, you know, we're going to have a tough time winning any games. When you don't have your quarterback in the NFL, it's a problem. Would you be willing to come and help? And so I had an interesting job for Coach Caldwell. I spent Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday studying film of both the Colts to kind of study themselves and see where they could maybe improve, and then also the opponent coming up. And then I would write a report, which would help him put together his game plan and so forth. And then on Thursday, I would go over to Indianapolis and be at practice Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then our game was on Sunday. And on Sunday, I got to be on the headphones with Coach Caldwell on the other end to help him manage the game. And it was a lot of fun. It was a challenge without Peyton Manning, I'll tell you that. But it was a good experience for me because I learned that I really was more interested in being in education than I was in NFL football. When I was coaching in college, I was kind of coaching the whole person. They were in school. They were trying to get their careers lined up. I was there to help them reach their goals, both on and off the field. But the NFL is simply, you know, what do you do on Sunday? I mean, that's what it's all about. And one thing I noticed was you have a locker room of about 53 people is all that you have on an NFL team. And every week there would be 5 or 6 people who weren't there anymore. They were put on the waiver wire or traded or whatever. And then there were 5 or 6 new people. And it wasn't the same group every week, which I thought was an interesting dynamic. I never had that situation in college because, you know, whoever started the year finished the year. And so it was a great opportunity for me to find out what the NFL was all about and then come to my personal realization that I wanted to be in education. And that's why I went to the University of Akron.
Thank you. I was just wondering
What's your name?
Grant Snyder. I was just wondering what
Grant,
it's like
okay.
preparing for the Michigan-Ohio State game.
You know, it was always a lot of fun preparing for that. I don't care who your rivalry is. Who's Parkersburg's rivalry?
South.
Parkersburg South?
Mhm.
Okay. So you know when you're getting ready for Parkersburg South that you don't even have to tell anyone how important this game is. And everyone's going to pay a little more close attention. They're going to study the film a little harder. They're going to practice a little harder. They're just going to be at the top of their game because the last thing you want to do is lose to your rival. When you lose to your rival, you have to live with that for an entire year. And so it was easy getting ready for the University of Michigan. They were always a great team. When we got there in 2001 to Ohio State, the Buckeyes had not fared very well against Michigan. In fact, I think they'd won 2 of the last 12 games. And so it wasn't hard to get their attention when we started talking about, hey, here's what it's going to take to beat these guys, because these guys are good. And so I always enjoyed that week. You could feel the tension because it meant so much. And the other reminder that you had is that game means so much more to your fans, because your fans, you know, if you play a team from further away, you know, they don't ever bump into those people at the gas station or the grocery store or restaurant or whatever. But when you play your rival, your fans bump into the fans' rival and the rival folks. And so it means more to your people than any other game. And so you know that as a coach, you know that as a player. You know when you take the field there's a different feeling when you take the feeling for your rivalry, even different than when you play in a playoff game or even different than when you play in a bowl game. There's nothing that has more value when you look at your resume. If you played 4 years at Ohio State, first question they ask you isn't how many Big Ten championships or did you win a national championship. First thing they ask you is, what was your record against Michigan? That is how you're measured. And I know this, my senior year of high school football was 50 years ago. Shows you how old I am. 50 years ago. And the most important game I played in my entire 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th grade year was that senior year rivalry game. And we had lost to our rivals the year before when I was a junior. And there's nothing more gratifying and makes me sleep at night knowing is that my senior year of high school, we beat our rival. Yeah, and that's important.
All right, somebody have a question. All right, we're gonna move you to Donovan here. Excuse me, sorry.
My name's
What's up,
Donovan.
Donovan?
And
Yes, sir.
who do you think was the most talented player that you coached, and who was the most difficult for you guys to stop?
Oh, boy. You know, I would get in a lot of trouble with my players if I said who was the most talented. And even if I did it by position group, sometimes I try to answer this question. I say, well, you know, wide receivers. I had 4 first-round picks during my 10 years at Ohio State. Guys like Santonio Holmes. Santonio had the big Super Bowl catch last time the Steelers won it. Michael Jenkins, first-round pick, played 14 years, Atlanta Falcons. We had Anthony Gonzalez, who played 5 years at the Colts. We had Teddy Ginn, who just finished a 14-year career. We had great receivers. I don't even know which one I could tell you was more talented because they were all very different. They all had different skills. And your job as a coach is to recognize the talents that your guys have and then do the things that they do best. To me, that's the key to a coach. You know, there are some coaches that say, I have this system, and you got to see if you can fit into the system. The other group, which I like to be a part of, is the coaching staff that says, okay, here's my guys, here's what they can do. And so we're going to build our attack around what they can do. So, you know, I had some great linebackers, you know, first-round picks like A.J. Hawk and James Laurinaitis, and Bobby Carpenter was a first-round pick, and had some great linemen, had some great DBs. Chris Gamble, maybe I'll end the answer to the question about talented player. Chris Gamble was a guy that in 2002, when we were 14-0 and won the national championship, Chris played both ways in college football, 128 plays a game. And he was a starting wide receiver, very good, and he was a starting corner. And he returned punts. And he was just amazing. He was a first-round pick, played 10 or 11 years with the Panthers, was all pro, just extraordinary talents. And so he's as talented and versatile. I guess none of the other guys could get mad at me if I mentioned Chris Gamble because he's the only guy we had that played both ways.
I got a question here. Sorry.
My name's Dylan.
Dylan?
What was the worst weather you've ever coached in?
That was in 1987. There was a blizzard, and we were playing here at Youngstown State versus the University of Akron over in Akron. I think only about 100 people were able to get to the game because the blizzard was so bad. They cleared the field with a plow, and by the middle of the first quarter, it was total you couldn't see 1 yard line. And what was interesting about that game was the coin toss. Akron won the coin toss. And I thought to myself, oh man, that's a problem because they're going to get the ball when the field is still okay. But this field's going to go downhill fast. Well, wouldn't you know it, they deferred and they wanted the ball in the second half. And so we were so lucky. We got the ball when the field was you could at least see the yard lines. And we went down and scored and made it 7-0. And then we stopped them, and then we went down and kicked the field goals, 10-0. And then the blizzard really started coming back. You couldn't see anything. And so the half ended 10-0. So then we kicked off. So at halftime, they cleared just the lines. You couldn't see the rest of the field, but the yard lines they cleared. And so we kicked off to them, and we went storming down. And it was so slippery and nasty. All 11 of our guys, when they started to break down on the ball, slipped and fell. And their guy ran for a touchdown because we were all on the ground. That was how bad it was. So it was 10-7. And then no one did anything all the way until there was about, 2 minutes left in the game. We had the ball back on our own 25 or 30. And we were getting ready to punt. And I think there were like 20 punts in the game because no one could do anything. And our punt snapper snapped it over the punter's head. And the ball was rolling back by about the 6 or 7 yard line. Fortunately, our punter scooped it up and punted it. The wind was blowing so bad and the blizzard was going so bad, they only punted it like 8 yards. And so they had the ball on like the 15 with a minute or two to go. And we were up 10-7. And they went down to the 4 yard line. Last play of the game, threw a little slant pass that we broke up, and we won the game 10-7. But it was impossible to play the game of football. But we hung in there and played it. And I never was in a game. The snow was baked 6 inches thick on you because it was blowing so hard. But it's probably one of the best memories our team has because they withstood the circumstances and the elements and came up with a win over their rival.
Braden, you got a question? All right, Braden's going to ask you a question here.
Hey, Braden.
Hey. Okay. Braden Walker, I am 16 years old, and I want to know what was like your greatest fear during your years of coaching?
My greatest fear during coaching, probably 2 of them, Braden. One would be that no one was seriously injured. And because, football is a physical game and can be a violent game at times. And one time when I was coaching, and it really had nothing to do with football, but the first game I ever coached in college, we had one of our players go down. We punted the ball and they fair caught it, and he went down. He never really touched anyone, but he fell down and died of a heart attack. Now, it really had nothing to do with football, but it was devastating on all of us, our team and everyone. And so that was the first game I ever coached as a college coach. Then probably, 32 years later, I was in practice and one of our guys caught a pass and just kind of got pushed down from behind. No big deal. Ended up paralyzed, and he's still in a wheelchair. And those are 2 of the things that were the most impactful things on me as a coach because, they were just devastating. Probably the second fear, Braden, I would have, or I did have coaching, and I still have as a president, is I just was always worried about decisions our students, our players might unfortunately make, whether it's decisions using drugs or decisions doing something illegal or hitting someone, causing, damage to someone, just in public and so forth. I was always worried about, just praying for and hoping that our guys would make good decisions. And, just like the opportunity they had to go to college, I didn't want to have them make a bad decision to not take that seriously and not get that college degree, because it could do so much for you. And you won't realize until later that, you gave up an opportunity that was wonderful. So I guess physical injury and poor decisions were the things that scared me the most.
Anybody got a question? Okay. All right. I feel like we're on a roll. I'm worried that the technology is going to stop here. Here is
Right.
Ethan for you. Ethan came ready for you too. Got your bucket.
What's up, Ethan?
Did you have more fun playing football or coaching?
Wow. Probably the most fun I ever had was when we were little and we played in the yard and we just knocked the heck out of each other. And it, didn't matter if we won or we didn't. As soon as you got it organized, then there was you were concerned about how you did and did you win and that kind of thing. So I think maybe fun, if you ask the question from a fun standpoint, probably the most fun was just playing. Coaching is fun. And there's no question about it, but you do take it personal. You do have sensitivities that you want to play the best you can play, and you're very disappointed when you don't. I think playing's more fun. But the thing about playing, it's whether you're playing video games or you're playing football in the yard or you're playing whatever, eventually in life, the time for play will get minimized and you'll have to go out and do something for others, get a job, maybe take care of a family, whatever it happens to be. You'll have responsibility. And so you don't get to play your whole life. That's just not the way life is. And so I think as I look back, I might cherish those moments where we were just playing and we didn't have that much responsibility. Not that I don't enjoy responsibility, and it's okay being an adult. So I don't want to scare you. It's plenty of fun. But there's nothing like just being out in the yard playing.
All right, anybody? Yep. Yep. All right, so introduce yourself and then ask your question.
What's up, Coach? My name is Kyle Hall. Nice to meet
Hey,
you.
Kyle. What are you doing wearing that West Virginia thing? You should be wearing a Youngstown State mask. Come on.
And you know me. But out of all your years of coaching football, what's an experience that really stands out to you?
Ooh, boy, I had a lot of experiences. Let's see. I'll tell you one that didn't necessarily have a happy ending, but I think it was important to us. In 1991, we won the national championship. And then in 1992, we went to play for the national championship again. We were actually down in Huntington, West Virginia. And we were playing Marshall. And we had beat them the year before in the championship game. And it was packed, 30,000 people there in the stadium down there in Huntington. And they got off to a fast start. We were down 28-0. When you went into the fourth quarter, it was 28-0. And we were away from home. Probably 28,000 of the 30,000 people were theirs. The place was rocking, electric. But to our guys' credit, they came back. They didn't give up. And we brought it back to 28-28 with a minute and a half to go. So we started the fourth quarter down by 28, minute or two to go, down back to a tie. To Marshall's credit, they took a little drive down and kicked a field goal on the last play of the game, and we lost 31-28. But it really proved to me that our guys, no matter what the situation was, were never going to give up. Didn't matter where they were, whether they were in friendly confines or, and that's the way life's going to be. There's going to be times when it doesn't look good. And if you give up and you go do the wrong things, it'll get even worse. And so that's one thing that really sticks out in my mind about how proud I was of the team.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right, Coach Vincent, I got time for one more because I have a meeting waiting outside my door.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna ask the last one. And last year,
Okay.
this is kind of how we ended each one, but I think it's good, especially with a bunch of seniors in this class. If you had to give one or two pieces of life advice, what would you tell these kids before they either are off to college or start working full time?
As I told you, I've worked 47 or 8 years with guys 18 to 22. So your seniors are getting close to 18 if they're not 18 already. And here's what I've learned about some common denominators of success for 18 to 22-year-olds. And I have 3 of them. One is you better hang around the right people. Your friends will have so much to do with your future. In fact, Maurice Claret, our great running back from the 02 team, used to always say, show me your friends, I'll show you your future. And so one piece of advice I would say is get with people who have similar goals, will help you make good decisions, and you'll enjoy being around and they'll be your friends forever. Second thing I would tell you is I've noticed in 18 to 22-year-olds is get involved in things other than your job. And your job right now is to go to school. That's your job. But get involved in playing football, being in the marching band, being in the student council, doing community service, go to your church group, all those things. Get involved in other things. Because what I've noticed is the people that get involved in things other than their job are the ones that their trajectory seems to be very, very positive. And then the last thing, which might surprise you a little bit, the last little nugget that I've noticed about students 18 to 22 is the ones that learned about finances really set themselves up for a better life. The ones that didn't understand how important it is to read the fine print. As you're thinking about going to college, read the fine print. Make sure you're not sitting there with tens of thousands of dollars of loans. When you go buy your first car, read the fine print. When you think about, well, I want to go buy this or that, take a good look at, can I afford this? When there's opportunities to go work, put money away. Because what happens is right when college ends, you think that maybe you don't go to college, you go to trade school, or maybe you, go to the service, whatever it is you want to do. When that chapter ends and the next chapter starts, the financial condition you're in will have a lot to do with that next chapter. And so I have found the people that learned healthy financial habits really end up being able to take off in life.
Well, thank you.
Those are my 3, Mr. Benson.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry for all the technical glitches here.
That's okay.
But
Okay.
we really, really appreciate you taking the
So
time.
did you guys play South yet? Did you play South yet?
We played South and they beat them. So we
All
won.
right.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So
So
seniors, you can live the rest of your life
Kyle,
knowing you beat
the
your
one you
rival.
just talked to, pretty excited. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
All
All
right, well,
righty.
thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay. Have a great one.
You
See
too.
ya.